Robert Trivers from Social Evolution. If Mayer and Dobzhansky, Fisher and Haldane gave us what Julian Huxley called the modern synthesis of neo-Darwinism in the 1930s and 40s, was there a postmodern synthesis in the period that followed? Well, yes, there was, but unfortunately, we can't use the word because it has been debased in literary and social science circles by a pretentious school of both Francophonism that has become grotesquely influential. The postscript to the modern synthesis could be said to have begun in 1960s with George C. Williams and W. D. Hamilton, but it really hit its stride in the 1970s. The bright shooting star of that period was the young Robert Trivers. He introduced what E.O. Wilson called the unsentimental calculus of parental investment theory, and nowhere was it more unsentimental than in Trivers' theory of parent-offspring conflict. Trivers thinks about evolutionary strategy in economic terms. His concept of parental investment is defined as an opportunity cost. The amount invested by a parent in any one offspring, food, time, risk, etc., is measured as the lost opportunity to invest in other offspring. One remarkable feature of the definition is that superficially very different kinds of investment, food, time, risk can be measured in the same currency, the currency of lost alternate offspring. The definition immediately predisposes us to think of sibling rivalry, but Trivers went on to point out that it also leads to conflict between parents and offspring because parents tend to value all their offspring equally, and while each offspring values himself more than siblings. I remember when I first read Trivers' definition of parental investment, how the idea instantly hit me with its power. Yes, I think I grasped for the first time some of the fascination of economic thinking, and the idea of parental investment, foreshadowed to some extent. R.A. Fisher is immensely influential in evolutionary theory. I wanted to include Trivers' own exposition of parent-offspring conflict in this anthology, but I couldn't find a brief extract that did the subject justice. Instead, I have chosen a different passage of Trivers where he explains the alluring and pernicious fallacy of group selection. The group selection fallacy. After 1859, there were three main ways in which people tried to blunt the force of Darwin's argument for evolution and natural selection. The first was to raise doubts about whether evolution had occurred, incidentally distracting attention from the more important concept, natural selection, the force directing evolution. The second was to acknowledge natural selection but to minimize its significance by making it appear to be very weak in its effect in the long-lived species such as human beings. Death and reproduction are fairly rare events. So it is easy to imagine